No.
No.
I feel like I'm the only person on the planet who understands that Kevin Durant was a luxury, not a necessity. They won the championship without him. I get it, Cleveland was hurt. They won 73 games without him. Beat I'll darn near say great Oklahoma City team. Beat them, came back from a 3-1 deficit. And with all due respect for Cleveland, most people think they would have won that championship if Draymond doesn't get suspended.
True.
So this is a great team. The last 3 years without Kevin Durant, let me say, with Kevin Durant and no Steph Curry, the Warriors are 28-18, 61%. With Steph Curry and no Kevin Durant, they are 29-4, 88%. Their offensive rating, their defensive rating, their net rating, their field goal percentage, their opponent's field goal percentage, their three-point percentage, their opponent's three-point percentage are all better when Steph plays and KD doesn't. So KD is great, and this is what happened. He's a luxury, but everybody on the team sees, including Steph and Clay, oh, he's better than all of us. And over time, you naturally defer. It happened in Miami. When they teamed up the big three in Miami, I think D-Wade thought, man, I'm just as good as LeBron, right? And you begin to see...
Publicly, he was very open about, I'm Robin, you know. Like
When they first got together?
I thought he was pretty open about it.
I
don't know that
maybe,
he believed
right.
it.
I think inside he felt, if I'm not as good, I'm close.
Right.
But over time, you see practices.
I got it.
You realize, okay,
that's true.
This dude's the man, and you defer. So that's what Golden State's done. KD is their best player, but they defer to him naturally. But that doesn't, and in deferring, they lost a little of what made them so special. Let's face it, with Kevin Durant there, they've been great, obviously, 2 championships. But it's been a heck of a struggle at times. They could have lost last year in the conference finals. Cleveland just wasn't that good once they lost Kyrie. They just had LeBron and Kevin Love, and, you know, so I think they still win this series, probably in 7, but I'm going to give Houston the respect to think they're going to win Game 6, and Golden State wins it in 7. So beyond what Golden State, Houston, and I know you're going to get to this, Chris Paul is not the same. I don't know if he's old or that he just doesn't get it done. Yeah, older or just we've seen him struggle in the playoffs, crunch moments.
We have.
He's been 13.6 assists on 33% shooting the last 3 games. And Harden, look, the last 7 minutes when he came back in the game, they got good shots. Eric Gordon hit some big shots. Harden made a couple nice passes. So they were getting decent stuff, but what stood out to me is they were playing differently. Harden wasn't on the ball for the most part. Chris Paul had, you know what I mean? It wasn't like he wasn't just shooting. It was that, wait a minute.
He didn't even have the ball.
This is, you're playing completely differently than you played all season, all series, all game up to this point. That's what makes me wonder what's going to happen with Harden and CP3 in the crunch moment.
Okay, before this man speaks, gut feeling on KD's injury. What do you think? What is it? How bad is it?
Somebody close to the situation last night, now I'm not saying this is right, but they were texting me after the calf strain came out, the news, that a person with the Warriors said that was in there, said they'd be shocked if it's not a torn Achilles.
Ooh.
We saw what it looked like.
Yes.
But Steve Kerr came out strong. This is after I was getting these texts and saying this, it's a calf. So
he was
hopefully
just saying
it is.
He was told that it was a calf strain, but he also seemed pretty deflated about it. That's just me. His body language
because he's
was
probably
down.
out for the rest of this series regardless of what it is.
All right.
But obviously if it's an Achilles, now it throws everything in flux, whereas versus a calf strain. So I hope it's a calf, but gosh.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish up. Go ahead and take it from here.
Here's the issue I have with everything you just said about how Kevin Durant was a luxury. This year, after he won back-to-back finals MVPs, the luxury was operating like the necessity. He was. The icing had become the cake this year because he had established himself, to me, don't want to fight about this right now, but as the best player on the planet. And I believe they had all decided he is the best player on the planet because he took over 2 Game 3s in LeBron's house, back-to-back finals. And all of a sudden, through these playoffs, if not through the whole year, the offense started to look a little clunky to me. The beautiful ball movement that Kevin went there for, sharing the ball, it became Kevin or bust. And it started to impact the psyches of the 2 greatest shooters in tandem we've ever seen, Steph and Clay, to where they began to look over their shoulder figuratively, like, is the 7-foot monster clapping for the ball now or not? Can I just go ahead? Can I go shoot this freely? And to me, I do not believe Golden State would have won that game last night unless Kevin had gotten hurt. I'm not wishing that on anybody. I'm knocking on wood for his Achilles not being torn. But I think it was heading for disaster just the way the Clippers Game 2 went to disaster when they blew the 31-point lead. Just the way they had lost 6 times at home this year by 20-plus and twice by 30-plus points because they suffer from, they're prisoners and victims of, are we there yet syndrome. After you do it so much, you say, is that enough? Agreed. And at halftime, it looked to me like, and I wrote them off, Houston off at halftime, because it looked like Golden State had reasserted itself in the second quarter and said, we are the defending champs. Watch this in our house.
Right.
It was 14 down at halftime, and I told this man to start the show, I am sitting on my bed because I'm about to get under the covers because it's over. It is 14, and I thought, well, I'll just watch the first couple of minutes just to see if they quickly extend it to 20 because I thought they would. Nope. Foot off the accelerator, and here came the Rockets on a 22-9 run. All the way up to that moment when Kevin made his first field goal of the third quarter, and it was one of those where give me the ball and get out of my way. I'm driving it to the baseline. I'm going straight up over Tuck, and I'm going to rip this. And he did, and he snarled when he ripped it. Ah. Okay, here we go. And that put them back up 3. And he took one step and pushed off, and he was like, huh? Somebody kicked me? And I'm thinking, uh-oh. All of a sudden, karma came full circle, and just the way CP3 was lost in Game 5 last year, and they collapsed in Game 6 and 7, I thought, the basketball gods just said, here, Houston, we will pay back Golden State. And what happened from that point on? Steph Curry happened. And he said, remember me, just the way Kevin said the other day, I'm Kevin Durant. Steph said, I'm Steph Curry. Do you remember that we won a record 73 games one year, and I was back-to-back MVPs in this league, and he took over the game from that point forward. James actually had a nice flourish at the end of the third quarter in which he scored 5 quick points, but Steph matched him basket for basket to end the quarter, so it's tied at the end of the quarter. And fourth quarter, Steph just took over. And to this man's point, he was all over James Harden to start the show, as he should have been. But it was different than James Harden. James usually goes up in flames, shooting threes that brick. And what happened, instead of him going 0 for 8 from the three-point line in the fourth quarter, he just said, no, I'm not going to do it this time. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to stay over here. Now, they were doubling him hard every time he touched the ball. But he needed a partner. He needed somebody else to step up and save him. And Chris is aging to the point where he can't do that anymore. There was a time, and especially back to his New Orleans days, he would have taken over that game. But he was not capable last night.
And this is a different style. You watching him, this isn't Chris Paul's game. Like the way they play. Right. He's a 2-guard essentially. And that he did it well last year. He's done it well at points. But you're not going to get the Chris Paul. Plus, you see him at times, he'll get it. They make quick decisions. Mm-hmm. A lot of times he'll get it, and he wants to dribble because that's what he's used to doing his whole career.
Yeah. I am surprised that the Houston didn't win this game for the simple fact is that I thought James Harden would say, like, you know what, this is my time.
Well, it was his time.
Considering what happened in game, you remember, what was that, game 6 against San Antonio. Mm-hmm. What happened in the closeout game against Golden State a couple years ago. Right. We've seen him down the stretch in these meaningful games.
By the way, he set the all-time playoff record for turnovers.
And dribbled the last one off his foot with a chance to win the game.
12 or 14?
12.
One of them, 12.
Yeah. Might have been 14.
12 or 14.
Yeah, he had a bunch of them. But CP3, 3 of 14. Clint Capella, 3 of 10. Now, you remember Clint Capella, after they beat Utah, he's sitting up on the podium. I want Golden State.
He likes to talk.
I want Golden State because of how it ended for us last year. Bro, you were good and terrible all last night. And see, this is why I don't like plus minus, because he had the highest plus on anybody on the Rockets when he was out there being terrible. To Chris's point, when he says KD was a luxury, not a necessity, KD is chinchilla seat covers in a Rolls Royce. Do you really need that? Because the Rolls Royce already was there. It's a Rolls.
But you told me Draymond went into the parking lot crying.
Yeah, he did.
Come save us.
And then he had KD crying when he called him something on the bench. But that's neither here nor there.
Was that guilt on Draymond's part?
Maybe.
Yeah, right? You know,
but the thing is, Skip, what KD, look, they're a very good team, Chris. You're right. 73-9. But what KD did, he makes them unbeatable in a 7-game series.
I agree.
Because we know, I don't believe they're the 2-time defending champ if KD is not in Golden State. I believe Cleveland beats them. I believe Cleveland beats them. And they knew that. That's why Draymond got on the horn. But James Harden, he needs a 40-point effort. James Harden's got to win Game 6. This is his legacy, because his legacy right now in meaningful playoff games, Game 5, Game 6, is not very good. He has to erase. It's never going to go away, but it'll help push it down. You know, if you do enough good things, it'll push the bad down a little further. Because right now, when you click, hey, all I see is, Game 6 against the Spurs? You did that without Kawhi? You lost by 40?
How about Game 6 and 7? Again, no CP3 last year against Golden State, but you got 6 in your house, then you, right?
Yep.
And he goes a combined 6 for 25 from 3 in those 2 games. Well, last night he did the reverse. He just wouldn't shoot it. I'm not going to do that anymore. So he and Chris Paul score 8 total points in the fourth quarter. That's not enough. While Steph and Clay turned back into free shooting Steph and Clay, and they combined for 19. So they outscored the other backcourt 19-8. And by the way, Houston had 4 fourth quarter turnovers. They weren't, James only had 1, but they had 4. Golden State had no turnovers in the fourth quarter. You don't think that's big in a close game?
Absolutely. And I think that another thing is, Chris, not to cut you off, but Steph's like, how aggressive can I be? Because I don't want to chase him off. Because the last time he played with a guy that was super aggressive, he ended up with us. So if I be me, Steph had to concede some of himself in order for KD to come.
Right.
By the way, he conceded way more than Dwayne conceded even to LeBron.
Yeah, he did it right
he just
away.
Said, here.
You did, remember the first year, it was like, Steph's not the same. You know, and then when KD got hurt at the end of the season, Steph went off, and then KD came back in the playoffs. The one thing that concerns me about the Warriors is that they got used to playing with KD. As you said, it didn't look the same because they were different. I don't know if it was better or not, but it was different.
Right.
And they also got used to playing with DeMarcus. So it's a hard adjustment to all of a sudden go back to playing how they played, 3 years ago?